Either of you guys know, I don't know his last name, Chris,
All
Blender,
right.
Blender a Zombie podcast?
All right. All right.
You guys,
Welcome, everybody. Appreciate everybody's patience. I hear somebody's echo out there if they want to mute. I hear an echo somewhere. But I appreciate your patience. I was just telling everybody before we got on here, I go to give my 4-year-old a bath, get him to bed. I come out, and my computer's in the middle of a Windows update at 8:20 this afternoon, right before we get ready to start. So sorry, but we're getting on late. I know it's probably late on the East Coast. So we are here with the JG20 MVP Artist Roundtable, the first one that we are doing here. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I really appreciate everybody taking the time here. We're going to spend some time learning about this project, backgrounds on everybody, and where this is going from here. And we'll be doing this every week. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, we'll go around the round table.
sure, sure. Well, my name's Tad Richardson. I'm the co-founder of the Negro Leagues Baseball Marketplace, which is a grassroots community of artists from around the world that has come together for the purpose of supporting the stakeholders of the Negro Leagues. To date, we've raised over $30,000 for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, the Josh Gibson Foundation, Buck Leonard Association, and the Jackie Robinson Foundation as well.
Awesome, awesome. Who's out here? We got Heavy J here as well, right? I love the names you guys have. That makes it fun.
Philip, can you hear me? I want to make sure I didn't
Sure
speak.
can. You're good to go. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Well, what's up then? So I'm Jason. Sometimes I go by Heavy J,
Yeah.
and my glitter cards are part of the Heavy J Studios empire. And so, yeah, I'm working with Tad and Mr. Shake for sure on the Josh Gibson MVP campaign with card art and the card art tournament. But I've also, since about last June, been doing card art to raise money for charity, and just maybe a week ago passed $16,000 doing that. So having a
Awesome.
lot of
Awesome. Awesome. And Mr. Shake, I got to hear the background on that name.
Yeah, I'm Mike Smith, also known as Mr. Shake, and I teach high school history. But in my spare time during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, I started cutting up some of my old junk wax and putting them back together and drawing on them and making art out of them. So the name Mr. Shake really just comes from my initials, MS, and kind of just popped into my head, and I ran with it. So it kind of stuck. But I've been having a great time doing this. I've met tons of great people like Heavy J and some of the other artists involved in our campaign. I've worked to raise some money for different charities and really just try to bring a little bit of fun and creativity to the world with my art.
Awesome. So tell us about. I don't really know the background on it, but the NLBMart. Whose that was your whose brainchild was that one? That was yours, Ted?
Yep, yep. It was a convergence of a bunch of different things. My career in advertising and marketing goes back to 1999, and over the last 20 years, parallel to my career in advertising, I've been doing a lot of community building and fundraising for a number of different nonprofits over the years. Um, Spent a lot of time specifically over the last couple of years focused on Meals on Wheels, and with that, I created a campaign that brought together locally owned restaurants in Spokane, Washington, um, to support Meals on Wheels there. And we created a really great grassroots campaign that raised about $5,000 locally for Meals on Wheels, but more significantly, engaged all of these small business owners in a number of different activities designed specifically to help them become better marketers and to use free social media tools to do that. And and the formula that we really kind of created was this formula of small business owners supporting a group of small business owners supporting a valued local nonprofit. And that formula we uh, guest would get the attention of local media, and it did. So going into 2000, going into last year, that campaign was getting ready to get fired back up. I had a sponsor on board, and the pandemic came along and changed my plans. And since 2017, I also have been creating a small business of my own that's makes jewelry and other merchandise out of game use Major League Baseballs. And so I've been doing the market scene here in Seattle for the last 3-4 years. Part of that has been bringing along baseball cards every week. So kind of started getting this little following here at the local Seattle market scene of the baseball card guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so about June of last year, I started to take that model that I created for Meals on Wheels and apply it to the baseball art community. And our first recipient of our work was the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So
cool.
I just started reaching out on Instagram to some artists that I had met over the last several years and asked if they'd be interested in this idea. And the response was overwhelming right off the bat. I thought that we might get around 40 artists to participate in that first campaign, which the marketing campaign ran from September 14th of last year through a week-long sales event that was the first week of October. And we wound up with just over 100 artists, including Jason and several
Wow.
other card artists, and as well as a lot of other traditional artists. And so the campaign, again, is based off of a model, and it continues to be an evolution. But where we're at today is just where we at now, guys. About 6 weeks ago, I think Sean said, "Hey guys, what do you think you can do to help us make a push?" And one of the first people that I had to put together on the steering committee was Jason. And Jason, in his wisdom and his position in the card art community, brought Mike on board. And so the two of these guys are really the ones who have been the brainchild and the fuel of the fire behind this JG20 MVP card art campaign. So
Awesome.
With that, let's let these guys talk about baseball card art.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I think is really fascinating with all this and following you guys. Is everybody's got their own style. It's more than just you guys having the name, and that's what's really cool about it. And I don't think a lot of people realize that this is out there and it's available. And I think myself, I mean, I fall into that same category. I mean, I grew up with Tops in my backyard. I was telling Ted, as a kid, the Tops in Avoca, Pennsylvania, the factory was literally, I could walk to it, and they used to have a dump. A landfill where they would take the offcuts that didn't make the grade, I guess, and they used to score them out. But then, we'd go there as kids, and we'd be fishing through through the landfill, finding whatever cards we could find. Because it was just, But outside of that and the major card companies, I don't think there's enough people out there that know that there is a whole nother market out there for like you guys that have your own style and bring creativity and one of a kind pieces, and that's what's really really fun about it. So yeah, it's a great idea. I want to hear more about how you guys. I mean, Jason. I mean, the glitter art. How did you come up with that?
You're looking for the Heavy J Studios origin story.
Yeah, exactly. I love origin stories. That's why I'm doing all this. I think these are great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, the way you were describing it, the card art community and card art in general, to me, is probably within the hobby kind of a subculture.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's on the verge of going mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I mean, it's already mainstream if we look at things like Project 2020 and Project 70. But just in terms of independent card artists like Mr. Shake, I mean,
mm-hmm.
some of our buddies are like getting cards graded by the grading companies.
Really, that's
Uh,
awesome. Awesome.
there are signs that things are going from subculture to mainstream, which is interesting to me. I mean, that's
Hmm.
exciting and fun in a lot of ways, and then sometimes it's less fun, right? You're like, oh, I remember Nirvana before they got big. That those were the days, right?
Yeah.
You but anyways, in terms of Heavy J Studios, in terms of the glitter, kind of the way it got started was I wasn't really doing this kind of stuff, but I did like to frame parts of my card collection. So I had some Dodger team sets, 1957, 1956, and then we're gonna go down a pretty big cliff when I tell you the next one, 1989. Um, so, anyways, those are my three Dodger team sets that I wanted to frame, and what I ended up doing was going to Joann's, which is like a fabric and arts and crafts supply store here, and buying the frames. And then I thought, what, let me get kind of like a groovy background to put behind the cards. And so I bought some glitter paper. And when I finished framing one of my sets, I had a strip left over that literally was exactly 2.5 inches wide, and that's the width of a standard Topps trading card. And I had a stack of 1981 Fleer cards on my desk just randomly. Actually, not that random if you know me, but and Cobra was on top, Dave Parker.
Hmm.
And I guess it was just a moment of inspiration where like I looked at that strip and I looked at Cobra, and I thought, you know what, man, I got like triples on that Cobra, and so took some scissors to it and glued it onto the gold backing, and I thought it was super cool. I'll be honest, but I didn't think anybody else would think so. I mean, I think it was kind of like most people would look and they'd be like, okay, 81 Fleer, that's like kind of worthless anyway. And then you cut up the card, that makes it even more worthless. And then what's with like the gold glitter paper,
Hmm.
But I had some buddies over and they were like, whoa, this is actually pretty cool,
Yeah.
And so that just kind of kicked off the idea of like, hey, maybe I'll make some more. And it was a few months later when I got the idea of like, maybe I'll just put one online and see if I can raise money for, in this case, my first organization I tried to raise money for was Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And it auctioned for like $42. And
Nice.
and then this is the crazy part. This is the crazy part that like I still can't believe, but that night, like I went on one card, $42. I was like, all right, here's what I'm going to do with my pandemic. I'm going to raise $25,000 for charity with glitter cards. And so now I'm
Nice.
still here. Yeah. Public service announcement for people not vaccinating and all that other stuff. I need more time. I need more time. Keep the pandemic going, man. I still have $9,000 to go.
Now I want to put up some. Do you have where can I throw up while you're talking here some examples of your card? I'm on your Twitter page here, but
Oh yeah,
are
I
you
would say these days, my Twitter is like so much Josh Gibson stuff at this point. I would say if you go to heavyjstudios.com,
all right?
um,
Good. Yeah. Let's
there's like a more menu, like the last menu, Heavy J Studios Hall of Fame.
all right.
Just has a nice selection of cards. If you brought that up, that would be a good.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I mean, if you got um, what I've been doing, and it's funny as you guys are talking here, it kind of gives me um, does my heart glad, because I've been if you've watched any of the other videos, I mean, I got to meet. I had Sean Gibson on a couple of weeks ago, which was great, and I had Phil Dixon on, and I had met Josh Gibson Jr. and who was still around back in those days. Many are not with us now, but many still were back in those days. Double Duty Radcliffe, Buck O'Neill still was, and so forth. This was early '90s. I was working for a AAA baseball team, and we did a benefit night that Reggie Jackson sponsored. And I thought I knew baseball history. I thought I had uh, some semblance of what was going on. And then I started hearing these stories about the Negro Leagues from these. Here we go. I'm at Heavy J Studios now. So you tell me to. I'm just going to flip on through here so people can take a look at what you got. Some examples on here while I'm talking.
Yeah, that menu that says more, like at the very top.
Okay.
Yeah, the more. I'm definitely not like a top-notch web designer. But yeah,
Yeah. What?
into HJS Hall of Fame.
All
I think
right.
that's
I'm gonna flip through these. Let people take a look at them while we're so you can see your style. Bo
yeah,
Jackson. So I got to meet these guys, and it just fascinated me, the stories behind it all, and it just got me going. And then come to find out, Phil Dixon was at that benefit, and I had met him 30 years ago, and here I am talking to him on one of these webcasts a few weeks back, and didn't even know that. I probably shook his hand and didn't even know I had met him, and so I was hooked ever since. And so last, I guess it was maybe around that same time you guys were starting up the NLBMart, October, November. I was talking to Bob, and the whole situation with the pandemic and what happened with the whole 2020 100th anniversary and all that kind of being shut down because of what was going on. And they were trying to come up with ways to try to reboot that. And a big jump start to that was when Major League Baseball announced that they were going to be recognizing the Negro Leagues as if they weren't Major League already. But um, and so it's kind of taken off since then. And I'm just trying to do my own part here to get some of these stories out in front of people, get up maybe to a new audience, and highlight the people who have been working pretty hard at a lot of this stuff for a long, long time. Authors like Phil Dixon and Kevin L. Mitchell and Todd Peterson, Pete Gorton. I'm not sure if you've ever talked to any of those guys, but they have all similar stories like we're talking about, how you just kind of got hooked on this, and you just want to kind of do what you can to get the word out there. I think the glitter's awesome. I mean, I don't know, it fascinates me that I can't believe there's so many different ways that people can express a baseball card. I mean, I'm watching some of these as you guys are rolling out um, the people that are involved in this JG20, and it's really it amazes me. They're all fascinating in their own way. They really, really are. Oh, that's a Jackie Robinson, nice.
I I think, Philip, one of the things that made me so happy about the tournament is at the end of the first week, right? We had five different artists and five cards, and
Mm-hmm.
the five cards literally had like nothing in common except Josh Gibson. Like they were different styles. They used different images of Josh. They couldn't have been more different, and so it was so awesome. I mean, it'll be interesting next week.
Billy Ripken, nice,
I
awesome.
kept it rated G. So
Yeah,
again,
Yeah, that's
nice.
one of the really neat things I think about this whole community, with working with MLB Mart and also the card artists. Um, just all the different styles and all the different personalities and how we all kind of come together to do something like this to work towards this common goal of raising awareness
Mm-hmm.
and hoping to persuade the baseball writers to vote to rename the MVP award after Josh Gibson. But
Mm-hmm.
it's really incredible to see, and we kind of play off each other too. Even though this is a competition, right? We all have the same goal in mind to really again raise awareness about Josh Gibson Foundation and the MVP award, but also it's fun to kind of see what other people do, and then sometimes try your hand at using some of the techniques and styles that other people use too. And everyone's super supportive and encouraging, and it's a really great community to be a part of.
I bet. I mean, like I said, I'm fascinated by uh, everybody that's put them out. The examples so far, these cards. I mean, every single one is unique in its own way, and they're all good. I mean, I don't know if the retweets and the likes on Twitter are, if that's how you guys are coming up with votes, but I want to retweet and like them all. I mean, they're all pretty
Yeah,
darn
so
good.
the way that it works is every day we drop at least one, sometimes two, Monday through Friday, sometimes two cards. Overall, we have about 65, 66 artists right now. And we drop them on Twitter at 12, and then if there's a second one at 3 o'clock Eastern time. They have 24 hours to get as many retweets and likes. And then on the weekends, starting on Friday afternoon, we open up voting in the form of a poll on the NLB Mart website. And that's where anyone from any platform can go and support the cards that they want to see move on.
Hmm.
At the end of the 9 weeks, each weekly winner who had the most retweets and likes, plus the voting tally from the weekend, moves on to what we call the Tournament of Champions. And that's going to be kind of like a March Madness NCAA style bracket.
I like it.
That's going to be with exclusively votes through the website. And then when we get it down to the final four, we have a panel of celebrity judges that's going to get involved and decide the champion.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, I think that's going to be fun. So do you have a website as well?
Yeah, it's MrShakeCardArt.com.
All right. Let me see if I'll pull that one up as well. All right. Is that the Metro Santa Cruz? No, what is that? Must not be it.
I think, Philip, don't do a search. Just go direct to the
Yeah, gotcha. Probably the way to do it. All right. I'm going to flip it over. All right. So you guys are seeing that. All right. Good. All right. So where do you have some examples of your artwork? Under artwork?
Yeah.
Oh, you got the Grump, or you got the Fanatic in there. The Grump. I wanted to say the Grump. That was the Grump. The Grump was from the Red Barons. Whereabouts on the East Coast are you from?
I'm in New Jersey, in Central Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area.
Okay.
So not too far from there. I used to go to Mets games and Yankee games all the time. A lot of Yankee fans in that area as well. I'm a Philly fan. Still down here. I'm down in Texas now, but I will never not be a Philadelphia sports fan. That's going to be in my blood forever. So what would you call your style?
It's really a collage style. So I take different cards and kind of cut them up, similar to what Heavy J does. One of the things that I think makes my work unique is the paint markers, and I tend to always incorporate the different colored dots in my work. So that's kind of one of the ways that I embellish the cards.
Okay.
That I make.
Cool.
Sometimes I'll do a little bit more drawing on them, like you can see with the the Bo Jackson and the Willie Mays and the Altuve. Those were some of the first cards that I made. And then, just like all artists, my style kind of evolves and changes. And once in a while, I'll try new things out. One of the things that I did, I thought I had it here, was like this Harold Baines card, 1986. Let me set it up right here. So I actually designed it so that on the top loader, I painted the one design, and then when you pull the card out of the top loader,
I'm going to put you guys back up. All right, there you are. Okay.
So that's what it looks like, and then when it goes into the top loader, go down. There it is.
Nice.
Two different.
Yeah.
Designs,
Cool.
So it's just about fun.
Very cool.
One of the other things that I did was incorporate some Kodak slides. So this is an Al Kaline card that I made.
Cool.
And if you could see up here is an actual slide with Kaline in it. So just
very cool
stuff, being creative.
Very, very cool. I like it. And how long? Well, Jason, how long have you been at this? Did you say?
I started posting my stuff last June.
Okay.
With Wade Boggs for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So it's hard to believe, but I guess it's been almost a year since then.
And Mike, how about you?
Around the same time. I started around the same time, and Jason was one of the first people that I connected with. It's funny because I started doing this just on my own, and then I started sending some pictures to my friends of what I was doing and showing my wife, and they would say, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And so I said, "You know what? Let me start posting them." So I made the Mr. Shake name in the Twitter page, and then one of the first people that I connected with was Jason, and I was like, okay, there's other people who do this. I'm not as crazy as I think I'm.
Right. It's nice when you get some validation, right? I mean,
right.
I mean that's always the thing. I used to always think some of the things projects I've been involved in, like, am I the only one? But then you find out, you know what? There's not. There's a lot more people out there.
Yeah.
All right. Is this your Josh? The very bottom one, this Josh Gibson card I'm looking at on that website. Is that the one that you submitted?
Green MVP.
No, this must be a different one. This one, I'm looking at is a gray. It's a blue circle with.
Oh, that's the earlier. Yeah, so that's another one. That's the first Josh Gibson card that I made, and then for the
Okay.
tournament, I made a different card. Yep.
All right. So we're planning on doing this weekly. I'm not sure, how many guys will get on every week, but what I'd like to do for the next time is, maybe get a little more prepared so that I have some examples that I could put up. I've done slideshows of everybody's books. I would love to do that with everybody and get this, let everybody see everybody's work and many people that can take a look at it as possible. So what's your style, Tad?
Well, so back in 2017, I started uh, a business that eventually became called Curveball Keepsakes, and this was based off an idea that I had in my head since college, and it was to make braided rope necklaces out of the yarn from inside baseballs. And so I prototyped it and started doing the markets around town. And of course, once I started, you know, doing all the stuff with this yarn from in the baseballs, I had all this leather too.
Mm-hmm.
So I started making different types of jewelry, primarily earrings and things like that. And so that was my business, my small business that I ran for the better part of 3 years. Um, the the baseball, I started playing around with the baseball card art that last summer too, when just seeing what everybody was doing, and I had all of this leather. You won't see any baseball cards on that website, but you will
Mm-hmm.
see some of the other
Mm-hmm.
things that I make. Um, but uh, anyway, I said, I actually went out to the community. I said to all the baseball card artists, and I said, I've got all this leather here. Who wants to make some relic baseball cards with some actual authenticated Major League game used baseball leather? And a couple of guys said, yeah, send me some and I'll see what I can do with it. And so I started playing with some of it myself. So the first thing I started doing, I don't know, is I'm showing you here on Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
is I just started making some double-sided baseball cards with, this is real leather from
Hmm.
this Major League Baseball. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Very cool.
So that was Max Scherzer pitches to Ozzie Albies
Mm-hmm.
during Ozzie Albies' rookie season. And so I nest this little card right down here. I don't have my glasses on. So that's what I started playing with, and then I when going back to 1987, I started collecting Major League Baseball All-Star ballots. And I
Mm-hmm.
held on to them for years. I would go to 7-Eleven or to the ballpark, wherever, and I'd get myself a stack every year. And I've been sitting on them ever since. And so I started cutting those up and making All-Star ballot baseball cards too. They're like a shadow box style, like that.
Cool.
So anyway, that's just for fun. Frankly, I don't have time to do it, and I call myself artistic. I'm not an artist, but what I do consider to be my art is marketing, and what I have come to see in the Negro Leagues baseball community is specifically with these family foundations, the Josh Gibson Foundation, the Buck Leonard Association, is that what they have been doing in their communities for years is building trust and helping their
Mm-hmm.
neighbor. And what I know as a marketer is that if I'm going to go penetrate any new market with any new product or service, that I'm going to spend 90% of my budget trying to gain people's trust.
Mm-hmm.
What I see is that these organizations have the trust that would cost millions to market yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I see as the biggest opportunity here is to help the Gibson Foundation, the Buck Leonard Association, and hopefully some other family organizations, um, to to present themselves in such a way and to create the platforms and easy plugins for the biggest marketing dollars
Mm-hmm.
to come right into to you know their communities and put their money to work. So I have a crazy idea that marketing dollars can save the world, and I think that once advertisers and marketers see that the way to gain people's trust is to actually solve their problems, not greenwash us
Yep.
into believe in anything, then really big problems can start to be solved. And so, but again, the biggest the biggest thing that these organizations around the Negro Leagues have going for them is the trust that they've built up in their communities,
Mm-hmm.
and the scope of work that they've accomplished in the years that they've been
Mm-hmm.
doing their thing. So so this community that we've built really, the idea, the roadmap for it is that it really exists as this amazing mutually beneficial revenue engine and marketing channel
Mm-hmm.
for these organizations and for every one of the artists who participate. So
Awesome. No, I think it's great. I really do. And I would like I said, to get you guys in front of as many people as we possibly can, because it's the way you grow. Like you guys have a community now, and it's more than just about the money. It's more than just about the way that you're trying to present yourselves. You're trying to do it together as a community, and I think that that's really the message, that exactly what you're saying about marketing can save the world. Well, yeah, I mean, that really is what it's all about, if everybody put their mind to it. So I just looked here. I mentioned this to you, Ted. My Zoom meeting is going to click out here in 1 minute. So I'm going to put up the JG20 website, right? And I'm going to talk over that, and you guys can just come right back into this meeting. All right, will that work?
sure.
All right. And I'm going to have to go ahead and get upgraded to Pro, apparently, for the next time we do this, because it looks like it was limited to 40 minutes. So I didn't know that, but I had heard that. So I'm going to put up the JG20 website. I'll talk through that, and then if you guys just want to come back into the Zoom meeting, and we'll get another 40 minutes, I guess. All right, I'm going to put that up. All right. So let me end the meeting here. And like I said, I've been doing one-on-ones, and apparently you can have as much time as you want. All right, guys. So I'm going to have to restart the meeting there, but I'm going to put up the JG 2020 website, and we'll take a look at what they all have doing. So this is the Negro League Baseball marketplace that they've created for this, with the press release, and I've tried to put that out on Twitter. I've tried to raise the visibility in some other forums. I've tried to get as much of this in front of people, and that's why I think that it's important to get these voices heard for everybody. I got Jason back again. All right. So I am just a novice at some of this stuff, unfortunately. So I'm going to do my best to improve this function for the next time we go through. So let's see, who else is... All right. We got everybody in here now? Everybody back? I think so. All right. All right, you guys are back again. Good. So up on the screen, I've got the, if you guys want to talk through this website, I've got your NLBMart.com. This is the JG20 campaign page, but I'll go to the actual main page here, and you... oh, wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oops. Now you're on the museum's website.
Yeah, I see that. How did I get there?
I think we have
a link.
a rogue link still embedded in the website. But yeah,
A
should,
rogue
you,
link.
you just stick your cursor up there at NLBMart.com. That should help you out.
That's what I clicked, and then it went here to the museum.
Right. Yeah. No. Just yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So add ART after the M there. That'll get you.
Gotcha. Okay. That's funny, right? A rogue link. That's funny. All right. So here we are, home of the Project JG20 MVP. All right. So you guys maybe can talk through. Do you have the week one's votings on here somewhere?
Nope. Mr. Shake won week one.
All right.
Got week two voting right here closed out, and this is just the website voting. So now it just so happens that this website voting from week two is also indicative of the overall winner. So Craig Leshin won last week.
Mm-hmm.
If you scroll down, you'll see a lot. In fact, you'll see all of the week one and week two artists.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Yes.
A number of different art submitted in Josh's name over the last several months. So.
All right. So the winner was card number 11. I'm sure it's on here somewhere.
They're not in order.
Okay. All right. I mean, every single one of them to me is just so unique and just makes it so much fun to see. Everybody's got a unique perspective on things and a unique way of expressing, and that's what makes this fun. Leather. I mean, that blows me away too. How do you make a card in leather? Who's doing that?
That's a leather wallet. So
what we've
got right now. So on what's gonna happen on the website is on Friday. When you come back, all you're gonna see is the week three artists, and you're gonna have an opportunity to vote for your top three. When voting closes on Sunday at noon, what we're gonna do is load the website up with a whole bunch of different Josh art from a whole bunch of different artists, so we can celebrate the man. Throughout the course of the week. So we're trying to give everybody a little bit of everything here.
Okay, so this was the week two winner. Yeah, you've got it on there. I'm on his Instagram page now. When I click the picture, fascinating stuff. Let me tell you. Wow, this one is amazing.
Some of the things you just scrolled past there, actually, you just scrolled past some artwork from Andy Brown from the UK.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Andy is actually participating in the card art campaign. John Battlegazi that you see there, he's not participating in the in the card art campaign, but he's over in Japan, as is Hide Yokoyama, who is he's at work somewhere on here. But guys, we've got artists from how many different countries for this card art campaign?
At the moment, it's five. It's the U.S., Canada, France, the UK, and Germany.
Awesome. I mean that makes it even more amazing to me. I mean, it's a worldwide. Yeah. You guys got a worldwide event going here. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Philip, I was just going to let you know you're impressed by the leather. I think actually watching the live stream right now is Stockyard Cards.
Shout out to Stockyard.
Their drop is tomorrow.
Okay.
They actually do create baseball cards directly off leather.
I saw that. Yeah, I would love to see how he even does that. I mean,
Noon Eastern. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what I keep asking for a little behind the scenes action on that. But their work is absolutely amazing. And I've seen the card for tomorrow, and you're not going to want to miss it. Trust me.
I know.
Awesome.
I had Greg Kreindler on here a few weeks back, and he went through. I mean, I could have. He has his art to me is mind-boggling. But I mentioned to him. I said, "Have you done any time lapse of any of your work?" And he said he's done a few here or there, but really would love to maybe start to do that a little bit more. Do you guys do anything like that? Have you guys ever had your work done and filmed it as you're doing it?
I have not. I've actually thought about it a little bit. I know other artists have taken some pictures of kind of the cards that they started with and the
So
progression of it. But that's a cool idea.
yeah. So okay.
One of
So
the one of the artists, if you scroll up just a tick there, you just passed a guy named Michael Reuter, who again, he's not one of the baseball card campaign artists. One more, a couple more scrolls maybe, but
hmm
he does time lapses all the time. One there he is. One more.
yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Reuter on the right.
hmm
In fact, he's got a time lapse of that Josh Gibson on his Instagram page.
Very cool.
He just did another time lapse of a drawing he did of the House of David baseball team the other day.
So what? Talk us through what was the thought process on this, on your Josh Gibson, for how you came up with that design. You mentioned about the dots are kind of your signature. What else did you? What else are your?
So with my process, some people kind of envision their card in the end, and I do that from time to time, but very rarely. A lot of times, I'll just kind of get some cards together, lay them out on the table. I start cutting out different pieces of cards that I want to use, and then I kind of just go for it and piece things together and kind of do it as they come to me. So I don't really ever have a final vision in mind. Sometimes there's many different versions of a card. Sometimes I make a couple things, put a couple things together, and don't like how it turns out, so I revise it. But I use scissors. I use super glue and different colored papers and paint markers. Sometimes I have to improvise, and like that Gray's logo on my card, I had to create. That's not something that I cut out, so I just kind of drew that. And I think that's actually a Kirby Puckett 1991 Donruss MVP card that I kind of added a little
Cannibalize
bit
it.
of green to it, and then put the Josh Gibson over it.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Isn't there someone who actually makes cards out of literally cutting up hundreds of cards into little tiny pieces? Who is that?
There's a couple of guys that do that. Um, Ben
I'm gonna put you back as back on.
Ben Caraher is the guy who participated in our first campaign who does that. And
Boy, oh boy.
spacing on his IG.
Boy, oh boy. I mean,
I think it's card mosaics, and then another prominent artist who's been doing that a while is Tim Carroll.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
there's also
Okay,
another
yeah.
artist I know, Ryan Smith. So three that I know of. That is some labor intensive.
Absolutely. No, I give all you guys so much credit for the work that you guys are putting in here, because, you know, just like any other art, like you were just saying, Mike, you don't know how it's going to turn out, how people are going to like it and not like it. I mean, yeah, I get it. It's not something that is easy to do, and so when you're making a card, is that in the back of your minds, you guys, when you're actually working on something? I mean, what's the most you want to get out of it? Is it someone liking it, acceptance of it? What do you guys, or is it you like it and that's okay?
For me, it's kind of it starts with me, and I really started this just as a way to kind of get my mind off of things. I teach full time. I also work part time at a restaurant, and so it was nice to kind of just sit down and unwind and play with baseball cards. Like it all started during the pandemic. I went through some of my old cards, had hundreds. I was hoping to find the Honus Wagner, but of course I just found piles and piles of 1990s junk wax, and I said, what am I going to do with this stuff? So it almost became like meditative for me. And once I started sharing it with people, and it brought joy and happiness to other people, and I started connecting with other people, that's kind of what motivates me. Is just making people smile, finding some time to relax and get my mind off of things and create some pretty cool stuff.
I think they're all very, very cool. So who? You got one more? How many more this week that are going to be unveiled? Is it two every single day, or do you?
I think we have one tomorrow and one Friday. I think that's it for this week. So
okay.
Most days there's one card. Some weeks we've got 1 or 2 days with doubling. So, but I think
and
our double days were today and yesterday. and then I think Thursday and Friday it's one apiece.
So who's on deck?
So we've got Stockyard Cards going tomorrow. So that's the hand tooled leather. I have seen that one,
Mm-hmm.
and it totally blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday, I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's been turned in yet. Rob Scott is just like anything he does, it's just pencil. Like he just draws with pencil or maybe different pencils. But you look at it and you say, seriously, how could somebody do this with pencil? It's so next level, man. It is absolutely next level. And I feel like I could train for 50 years and not be able to do what he does. So
We
his
gotta.
is Friday, and I am totally
This is
expecting to be
it might be a little bit hard to see, but this is a Hank Aaron card that he drew. But his stuff, if you go, he's on Twitter at Rob Scott 7, and like Jason said, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's mind blowing that he
Wow.
draws this stuff. So we're
Wow.
all excited for his card also.
I bet.
I'm looking at his card that's going to drop on Friday right now, and it's pretty killer.
Oh, it's in,
Cool.
It's out? Okay, I gotta check that out. I gotta check it out. Oh my god.
We have to.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody's amazing, but I gotta say, I look at his stuff and it just like it's almost like my brain short circuit. I can't even believe it's right.
There's the really neat thing about this campaign is what it happened so fast, and Jason and Mike you just immediately put it out on blast to their community, and we got this influx of brand new card artists into the community who are really fired up.
mm-hmm.
And then we found out is like, hey, we also have this community of 100 artists over here who we haven't really got the word out to yet. And so then we have guys like who I'm really excited to see is Noah Stokes, who's another traditional. I think he works mostly in pencil and colored pencil, but he has a really unique style.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot wait. In fact, one of his pieces is on NLBMart.com right now. But it's really neat to see the traditional artists jumping in to the card art genre right now. It's cool.
It is very cool. Didn't we just have Josie Tellier she just post a card that was pretty amazing. Yeah, they're all. I mean, like I said, the thing I find. I don't know if you guys are seeing the comments here, but somebody just said that the what they have enjoyed about these streams that I've been doing with people like yourselves is that when they get to actually hear you talk and see and have the passion that you guys have, and like I said, I've had authors and historians, and I've had former players on, and that's I think what's been missing. In a lot of it's one thing to scroll through a website and take a look at this and take a look at that, but to actually see and put a name to a face, you know how it is. You know how it is in marketing, right? What's when you can actually and that's what's great about Zoom and this type of thing. You actually could put a name to a face and a voice, and it makes it that much more I think special. I mean, everybody, you feel like you're part of it, not just in the middle of a paper transaction kind of thing. So it's fun. And so I would love to get every week that we do this, as many people on to talk about their work, why they did it, how they got into it, what their style is, what shapes their style. I think it's just a lot of fun. I'm sure everybody's got so many reasons. I mean, you're just saying you got into it just because you wanted to relax. I'm sure that's something that I think a lot of people could say, right? And this is something that's fun, and it makes it you're doing it for a purpose, and it's making it. It's going to make a difference in the long run, and that's kind of reassuring too, I think. So we have had how many total so far? It was last week and this week, so what, about 12 cards or so have dropped so far?
I think it's been 15 now.
15.
I think so, with the second one out today.
All right. So what I might start to do is just you know, one of the things I realized on this, once I get talking, I love to talk and I love to hear everybody's story, and I want to have people tell their stories. But sometimes these things run on for an hour or more, right? And so I don't want what I may start to do is edit these into, like, manageable clips and post them as well as the full. And so this way, if people haven't watched them live, and it's interesting because I'll have I have it here. I have it on several other forums, and it started out where there was a dozen people watching and viewing it over time. Then it got up to 50 and 100. Now between all of the different places that it is, I'm approaching 1,000 or more views of these videos. So it's cool that more people are tuning in and following, and I think I could get more people to watch if I put maybe 5-10 minute little snippets as well. And this way, it's more like I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, is an hour too long? I mean, like I said, I could go on. I could talk till the sun comes up about some of this stuff. But what do you think? Do you think that the shorter little edited versions might work as well?
Yeah, I think both can work. I mean, I think it's cool too when people have the chance to interact with the
Mm-hmm.
people who are watching. So questions from people who are watching, that's also an awesome element.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, people who don't watch live and just kind of want to see the highlights, that's also a cool idea.
I see. Oh yeah, Stockyard Cards is out there too. Yeah, cool. All right, awesome, awesome. Very very
I
fun.
feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the case for Josh Gibson, with the
Right.
Josh Gibson Memorial MVP Award, right?
One of the things, yeah, that was where I was going to take this to next. Is so the whole purpose behind this, right? But when I had Sean Gibson on a couple of weeks ago, it was really interesting when he told me that one day they just kind of called him up and said, "Hey, we're thinking of maybe rename. We'd like to maybe consider your grandfather as the name on the MVP award," and it was kind of news to him. He told me it really wasn't something that they had even thought of. And so what are you? So yeah, so go ahead. Tell us how and why that's become the focus of what you guys are doing now with this.
Well, the reason why it's become the focus of what we're doing now is because Sean asked us, what we could do, and we actually knew that the Project 70 card from FDOT was going to drop on Monday. We knew that was coming up, so we felt like a baseball card art campaign was really low hanging fruit to help Sean make, as what he's calling it, is his fourth quarter push. I don't know why he's not calling it his extra innings push, but nonetheless, we are using our collective power and our shared purpose, our shared value to let people know that we think that a man like Josh Gibson is the perfect man to
Mm-hmm.
carry the entire community of Negro Leagues on his shoulders as the namesake of Major League Baseball's MVP award. He clearly is a man that would have won multiple awards
Mm-hmm.
had he been given the opportunity.
It's really interesting that I'm sure you've maybe heard it in conversations as you guys have talked to people, but um, I talk to a lot of people here and there about the Negro Leagues. I've been doing it for 30 years almost now, and you get this pushback all the time, and you get this notion that somehow the Negro Leagues were double A, triple A talent. That's always been in people's heads. So by telling these stories and getting people on, and people who have been doing this for a long, long time and know the backstories and the origin stories, I love that term, origin story. It is. I'm hoping more people can get on board with what you were just talking about. That yes, these guys were good enough. They weren't allowed to play in the major leagues. That's different than not being able to play in the major leagues. It's a perfect case for, as you just were saying, to name this award for someone, not just specifically, it'd be specifically for him, but for the entire 3,000 plus players that were never given that opportunity to play in professional baseball. And it wasn't just the majors; it trickled all the way down through the minors and everything else. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a great push. I mean, yes, there are many people who are equally or some that would be also very uh, fitting to put on the award. But I think naming it for Josh Gibson, who the greatest slugger arguably of all time, would be great. So I'm with you.
One of my favorite things, I made sure to finally get my facts straight on this one before the call, was we know that after, well, in 1947, when Jackie Robinson broke in with the Brooklyn Dodgers, former Negro Leaguers won 6 out of the next 7 Rookies of the Year award.
That's right.
Right? And from 1949 to 1959, former Negro Leaguers won 9 of 11 National League MVP awards, including 7 in a row from 53 to 59. So by what logic do you use to say that, if the best of the best players were at least as good, the best of the best black players were at least as good as the best of the best white players, what leads you to believe that the worst of the worst were less than? It's absolutely ludicrous to think that the Negro Leagues were anything less than Major League Baseball. The players of those leagues were anything less than. And we all know that every big league roster is made up with 2 superstars and 25 bums. So if I'm a betting man, I'll tell you, I would say that the bums of the Negro Leagues teams were probably better than the bums of the
Yeah.
I'm going to say though, Tad, spoken like a Mariners fan, Dodgers fans, our rosters are a little more loaded than that.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. So two superstars is being generous from a Mariners fan. Come on.
And what? So we had a Mariners fan, we have a Dodger fan, and Mike, what are you?
Longtime suffering Mets fan.
Mets fan. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm a long-time suffering Phillies fan, so I feel it. I feel your pain. Let me tell you. So yeah, I bring that up every single time I do one of these. These guys didn't spring out of the earth and become MVPs and like you pointed out, rookies of the year. No, they were there all along, and the history goes back. As I don't know if you caught the one with Dr. James Brunson, but I mean, he's a leading authority on early black baseball that goes back to the 1860s and some even before that. And it's just incredible to hear the stories, and I hope people are checking it out. And I'm trying to spur more people to get more involved in some of this stuff. Maybe we'll get some more card artists to be involved in this. I think it'd be great. So I've got I usually do 2 of these a week, and we're going to mix you guys into the middle of that. So we'll who do you think? What do you think about for next week? Who's your thoughts?
We'll put it out to the community, but we'll try and get a few artists from the current week to come on with you and
that'd be great.
Their art and what they're doing. It's always fun for me to hear what inspires everybody.
Absolutely.
Aside from seeing almost in real time the collaborations happening in the room, it's really fun to hear what inspires people.
Yep. No, that's exactly why I'm doing this. I want to hear. I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing those stories and how they got into it. It was interesting when I had Donna on a couple of weeks back, and she found out that there was a Negro League baseball stadium practically in her backyard, right? I mean, who knew? And so, every single day on Twitter, I'm trying to put out something to highlight that, because they were literally from Maine to Oregon to everywhere in between, and there probably is very, very few towns or areas in the country that didn't have some footprint that didn't have a barnstorming tour come through, didn't have a player who was from the area, a team that was close by. I mean, it blows me away. I like digging around my little amateur sleuthing, going on to newspapers.com and places like that, and finding these stories. And it's just crazy stuff, crazy stuff. The one today, I think, got people a little. It just was interesting to know that the KKK, for marketing purposes, played against the black baseball team back in 1925 to try to repair their image. I mean, as if that was going to work, you know? It's like, you know.
They played a Jewish team in Washington D.C. It was the KKK and a Jewish team. I was reading an article about that too.
Unbelievable.
When the KKK was making their resurgence. But just talking about the local fields, I was just reading here in New Jersey. There's a short town called Belmar, and I've driven past this field probably 10 or 15 times. It's like a little league field now. But as I was trying to read more about Josh Gibson, I came across an article that Josh Gibson actually played there in one of those barnstorming tours, and the legend that kind of stuck with him at that game was that he hit a ball that landed across the street behind the post office that still is there. And they had the local sports writer went and measured from home plate to where the ball landed, and it was over 600 feet. So the field now is just a little league baseball field, but like I said, there's so many of these places around that people don't even realize that the rich history and the stories that if the walls could talk, so to speak.
Exactly. Pete Gorton of the Donaldson Network, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but 20 years ago or so, he started the push to kind of elevate the awareness of John Donaldson, who should be another Negro Leaguer that should be in the Hall of Fame. And he's got this network of hundreds of local, amateur and some professional historians that are digging everywhere in the country. And he literally has thousands, if not tens of thousands, of accounts from newspapers and of whatever other area that started out with just John Donaldson, but now it's expanded into everything, and it's just you could get lost with some of that stuff. I mean, it's everywhere, and I think if people just turned around and look, they're going to find it. And that's what makes it kind of fun to make people realize that. And it's part of. It's not just baseball history. I mean, this is part of. This is a story that should be inspiring and get people understanding where we were as a country 100 years ago, how this all evolved. I mean, the stories are fascinating, and they really need to be told. And I'm glad that more people are becoming aware, but there's still not enough. Still not enough. So, all right. So, what else, you guys?
I just saw an ad for a show. The History Channel is going to be running in just a couple of days, the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre.
Yes.
And one of the earliest conversations that I remember having with Bob Kendrick, we were really just talking in general, and just one of the things that I remember him saying was that it's an absolute travesty, the history that we haven't been taught.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I personally learned about things, and I'm a 50-year-old white man who grew up in the Northwest in the 70s and 80s, and so I can tell you that the version of history that I learned here growing up in the 70s and 80s is a lot different than the history that my wife, who grew up in the Washington D.C. area, was learning at the same time. So it's an absolute travesty, the history that we haven't been taught. And to me, the Negro Leagues is maybe not in the same chapter, but definitely in the same book as events like the Tulsa Massacre.
No,
so I hope that people can see that what we're really trying to do is use the common thread of baseball that ties so many families together to as the bridge to the common ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have some more difficult conversations.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay to celebrate a man like Josh Gibson without taking a moment to think about a man like Eric Garner,
mm-hmm.
or George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we want, really to use this game of baseball use the story that it's you know, it's so easy for us to all talk about baseball, but it's a lot more difficult for us to talk about, you know, things like race. So that's the beauty, I think, of this community that we're really building. And one of the things we like to say often is that it's so much bigger than baseball.
My wife is originally from Guadalajara, Mexico, and so she. Interesting what you just said. She knew more. I grew up in Pennsylvania, moved to Texas 20 years ago. She knew more about our history as a country growing up in Mexico than what they're teaching in some of the schools in certain places. Let's just say, and it's unfortunate. I don't get it. You know, like you said, sometimes you have to have those conversations in order to get people to take that next step. If you don't, it's like you know, that unspoken, you know, that everybody knows about, and it makes people uncomfortable, and it never really goes away. You have to kind of do something a little more proactive in order to make it go away. So anyway, I'm glad you guys are doing this. I think it's a great effort. So let's you know, I'm going to make sure I get my Zoom Pro for next week, so I don't have to worry about losing everybody in 40 minutes. I didn't even know that until someone told me about it earlier today. That's why I mentioned it to you. So, but I really appreciate you taking the time. I'll make sure I don't have any Windows updates going on at that time next week too, and we'll get started. And after the 6th of June, we could do these earlier as well. If everybody wants to do that a little bit earlier, the thing about now. I've got some things I need to take care of. Then my wife has taken my kids down to visit their grandparents down in Guadalajara. So I'm going to have a little bit of time coming up in June where I can do these any time of day or night pretty much. So we'll figure out a schedule and we'll get it out there. And I'll make sure I get it out on all the places that I'm showing. I'm putting these out there because it's on Twitch. I've got things on YouTube. I've got the Twitter. I don't have an Instagram, but there's a couple of other forums that are dedicated to simulation gaming, other types of gaming, and other baseball enthusiasts. So I think, you know, over time we're going to end up maybe getting some, like I said, some people to join in your effort. I think it'd be cool. So any final thoughts before I run out of time again?
No, just thank you to everyone who has been retweeting and liking and engaging in it and supporting all the artists. We really appreciate everything. And, you know, the end goal of this, again, is to promote the legacy of Josh Gibson. And hopefully we're going to be successful in convincing the baseball writers to put his name on the MVP award.
Yes, sir.
I'll just add to that, you know, with respect to the card art tournament, Twitter account at NLBMart or NLBMART. We've got 1 or 2 cards that drop each day. You know, if you see those, give them a retweet, give them a like, because what that also does is it gets the JG20 MVP hashtag out there and gets that more exposure and encourages people to learn about the campaign. So that definitely for the tournament helps the artists and also helps the campaign.
Tad, what you got before we call it a night?
Know, I would encourage everybody on top of following along with our campaign, NLBMart, you know, on Twitter and Instagram and NLBMart.com, is to make sure that you check out JG20MVP.com. That's the microsite from the Josh Gibson Foundation. It's full of amazing information, and for my money, you can't go to that website and walk away and think that Josh Gibson doesn't deserve to be the MVP.
That's right, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you your patience there while I was getting my Windows was gumming up the works, but I'm glad we got this done tonight, and we'll plan again, I guess, for next Wednesday, same time, same channel. And let me know who's going to be on, and between now and then I'll keep putting out whatever you guys send me and get it in front of people, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, thank you so much. You guys have a good night. Bye-bye.
All right, good night.
Bye-bye.